Okay, we are live. Hello, good afternoon. Sorry, we are just a little bit late, but welcome to one more interesting session where we are going to talk about Meipadam Karlakattai and mental health. Hi, Rupa.
Hey Trisha, good to be here. Good to be with you guys with another interesting.
Okay. Yeah, it is, right? Uh, well, Meipadam and Karlakattai is a physical strength training practice, right? Let's start exploring why are we connecting it to mental health?
Yeah, good start because people always think you're moving your body, you're lifting weights. It ought to be just working with your muscle and nothing else. Maximum, it will go to the extent of muscle coordination, neuro coordination, but people normally wouldn't think beyond that. Most exercises aren't connected to beyond that. The high intensity, the aerobic ones, they do say increases your serotonin release, and hence it's good for if you're having mild depression and sorts. It just elevates your mood because it gives you the good mood hormones and stuff. That's about the max that I have in my experience come across exercise and mental benefit. But in with Meipadam, I feel there is way so much more to it, other than the physical elements, of course, like we have all discussed loads of times, and everybody's aware of that. But the mental aspect, the most unique thing I find when it comes to Meipadam is the meditative element to it, which I find rarely do other forms give you that. And you can cater it the way you want it. So you want it a bit more cardiovascular, a bit more increasing your heart rate, you can do that, increase the pace for yourself, which will anyway give you the benefits of aerobics and the so-called improving the serotonin release for good mood benefit. But other than that, the mindfulness element, which I think is super special to Meipadam and Karlakattai, where you have to be uber focused on what you're doing, where your body is in space, how is your breath synchronizing with it, how are the different elements in your body synchronizing with the move. And when you have a Karlakattai, another added extension to your body, the Karlakattai, how is that working in sync with the rest of your body. So all of this requires a lot more mindfulness, which often doesn't go with exercise. For most people, mindfulness is sit, close your eyes, and be mindful of your current present moment. But when it comes to Maipadam and Karlakattai, that element comes in with the movement. So it's more like dynamic mindfulness, if that makes sense. I find that most unique, and I love that about Maipadam. I'm sure you have had similar experience, and people feedback on that for you too.
Hmm. Uh, right. Yes. I mean, I really don't think we need to talk so much in with mental health because there have been thousands of studies, right?
Yeah. Now you're okay, Trisha. You sort of
Sorry.
cut off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you again off? Can't hear you, Trisha. I think you're back. No.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah. I think Trisha is having a bit of internet issues of sorts. So as for mindfulness, you guys can and figure out a lot of studies out there on mindfulness and how beneficial that is across a range of mental health issues, mild and moderate mental health issues, maybe anxiety, depression, all sorts. We have loads of mindfulness studies over the years that have spoken about it. So with Maipadam or with Karlakattai, we can just make that useful input from the mindfulness studies into how that works with us moving dynamically and being mindful. I think Trisha's back.
Yeah. Yes, as I was saying, there have been thousands of studies and people sharing their experiences on how mindful really helps with improving mental health, making you more focused, making you more calm, making you more self-aware. And that's why, people practice meditation. They include that in their daily routine for these same reasons. Um, There is, of course, this aspect regarding neurotransmitters, how Meipadam and Karlakattai, because of its meditative aspects, brings in this component of neurotransmitters. Um, but one more thing is that it goes one layer, or in fact, number of layers deeper than that, where since the practice itself is rooted in such spiritual beliefs, and they're strictly spiritual. That's what I feel. These are things about elements in the nature, elements in the universe. For example, when we start the practice, we are paying gratitude to mother, father, the universe, our teacher, and the earth itself, right? So these are all the elements in the nature, and we also know that gratitude itself helps so much with improving mental health. So there is this one layer of basically very simple things like
Hmm.
gratitude and very simple kind of spirituality, which personally I believe, this is my belief, that it's separate from, I would say, religion. So yeah, so and that's with all traditional martial arts. We know
There are
that.
loads of study done on gratitude as well. There are psychological studies which have
Exactly.
shown that having a gratitude diary or being grateful every single day and keeping a close
Yes.
monitoring it has had brilliant well-being benefits mentally and physically. So there are studies. So there's
Yes.
nothing religious or even spiritual about it. There's also a psychological element there as well. So yeah, that's true.
Exactly, exactly. And one of the experiences that I always share about is that, in the beginning when I started teaching, and there was I was teaching, my first batch of students was mainly, it was completely a women's batch. And a couple of women in the group said that how they started feeling more calm, how they started feeling that that they don't need to engage with each and every argument and conflict and uh, such kind of situation, whether it was with their spouse, whether it was with their boss in their office, at home. And this was the time when we were in the thick of COVID lockdown everywhere all over the world.
Each other's faces we were in.
Exactly. That was a mentally difficult time for everyone, right?
Yeah.
And if these women experience something like this, then that itself is a testimony that how Meipadam and Karlakatai helps with just becoming more aware of your actions and your words. What has been your personal experience in terms of transformation with this practice within yourself?
Yeah, until I came across my Padam and Karlakata, I hadn't done dynamic mindfulness in that sense. So until then, for me, mindfulness was be seated and ground your senses in the present moment. So what you hear now, what you see now. So it's been grounding in the moment, sitting stationary. It's never been active, and I quite didn't think about it much. um, I had experienced that in Tai Chi, of course, but this was a different layer, different element of dynamic movement, which worked the same way. So for me, that was hugely beneficial. Like you rightly said, it has that huge calming effect, a grounding effect. So because when the mind is not in the present moment, when you're not thinking about what I'm doing right now in this very moment in space and time, the mind is either in the past or in the future. When it is in the past, it is when it is in the past, it is anxious about what happened and worried about, upset about what happened in the past. And if it is the future, then you're worried about what's going to happen in the future. So the mind is never going to be calm if it's going to be in the past or future. So having that grounded mindfulness of what I'm doing now, what can I do now, is that sort of element very easily. So it is sort of, it puts you in that headspace, and you can continue functioning in that headspace for the rest of the day. So it is not that you be mindful and then you can, it is about, it puts you in the right spot, you know how it feels, and then it is up to you to carry it through the day. So just bringing it back to your breath, back to your muscles, back to your posture, like we keep talking about in the classes, that awareness builds up that mindfulness, and that benefits you throughout the day. So it's more a setting the rhythm for the rest of your day, for the rest of your week, month, year. And it's up to you. It gives you that sort of it gives you the controls, just for a better lack of word, gives you the power to take it back and ground yourself in the moment. And that I have seen has been the biggest impact for me personally. As for my yeah, I've heard the same calming sort of feedback from my students as well. And there was one very there was a case of mild depression in one of the students, and they came back and they had shown a beautiful piece of art that they had gotten into after months of not wanting to do anything and being upset with everything and feeling low. After a couple of days of Meipadam, it gave them just that edge, the glimmer of sunshine and hope that I can go beyond this. I don't have to be stuck in this mode sort of feeling. Not that I am claiming this to be the cure all, be all, end all for depression or anything like that, but I'm saying this is another tool in their kit that can help them function and cope better. uh, of course, you need to make all the other changes, lifestyle, medication, whatever, but this is another very, very useful and potent tool that they can use, is what my experience says anyway.
Right, right. Uh, yes, I mean, to be honest, in my case, I have always found it uh, challenging in the beginning. I would say till a few years back, to sit and meditate. Okay, it was very challenging for me, and I know many of my students they used to have same kind of experience, that they find it very challenging to sit and meditate.
Switch off, yeah.
So this was kind of a slow ramp, for going towards meditation practice. And now, I can sit and meditate for quite a good duration of time. So many people who have this experience of, they just can't sit and meditate because, it brings in certain experiences, certain memories, and then anxiety, sometimes, some traumatic memories. This kind of gives them some time of the day when, as you said, as the movement starts getting meditative, there is this time when we get into that meditative zone, and that really helps still. So of course, as we know that meditation is not just of one kind. You can get
Good.
into a meditative state while washing utensils or cutting vegetables, so like that.
Yeah.
So yes, that's one thing. um, Also, I want us to come and explore this point where the physical efforts themselves, the physical efforts and the consistency of practicing, how that helps with improving mental health. Being disciplined and consistent with your practice, putting physical effort, because every session of Meipadam and Karlakattai is going to need you to get out of your comfort zone and challenge your flexibility, challenge your mobility, and things like that. How does that help with improving mental health?
Very good question, Trisha. That is, in my experience, I would say discipline is something that a lot of people struggle with. For a lot of people, it comes easy, and they are the lucky ones. But there's a big majority out there for whom it is a matter of effort and planning and working around and sort of putting it out there. So I think. Again, not everything resonates with everybody, but if the move resonates with you, then it is one of those easiest way to bring you into discipline. And when you do get into discipline and you see the benefits, it's easier to stay disciplined. So I think it is the initial stepping stone that is always difficult for a lot of people. But if you can just push slightly beyond that, be kind to yourself, be gentle to yourself and to your body, and just get into it with your own, in your own pace, in your own style. Even if it is a group, everybody is unique in a group, so everybody's flexibility, mobility, strength is going to be different. So you work with your physicality and your thing, and be kind to yourself. So it's somewhere also compassion to yourself. So it trains your mind in other ways apart from the grounding and the calming and all of that we talked about. You wonderfully pointed out the discipline element which you are able to build in. So if you can be disciplined in one thing, you can sort of extrapolate it to maybe another thing and another thing and another thing. So it sort of trains you to go on to track, and you sort of, it reveals more about yourself. Oh, I can do that. I didn't think I could, but I can. So it is somewhere more revealing as you get into activities like this, and sort of you figure more about yourself, I think. And it is quite beautifully paradoxical where you are moving, but the movement is calming on the inside. So even though the physicality, the body is moving, the inner part of you is finding its own stillness and calm with the mindfulness and the breath watching that we do. So it's a beautiful paradox that I feel, which reminds you that, life, there is more to life than meets the eye. It is not, oh, you're moving, end of story. There are so many layers to it, and there is so much more that you don't know about yourself. I think all of these moves and different ways of moving is just revealing more of yourself. Apart from all the other benefits, I think this is another wonderful benefit we can all benefit from if we
Right.
engage with it. The secret is engagement, being open to
Yeah.
engaging with it. um,
Yeah.
and truly giving it your all, rather than just, oh, I have to move my arm, so I just move my arm. There has to be more to it for you to get the benefit. So it doesn't happen automatically, but you have to take that step. So you meet it midway. Maiparam will take
Right.
way more steps towards you, but you have to make an effort towards it as well.
Mhm.
um, and I think
I
across age
think
groups this is applicable too, don't you think? In your experience you would have come across,
yes.
you know uh,
Yes. Yes.
from
Yeah.
teenagers to elderly in their 70s, 80s, all of them have benefited from it. It's not even age
Yes.
driven.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I also think when it comes to discipline, majority of people, large chunk of population has this misunderstanding that people who are disciplined are the ones who are in a way faster than others or better than others. And I would say from my personal journey and my experience that discipline actually helps you to slow down and not become faster.
Mm.
So it doesn't work like that. So if you're disciplined about something, it actually helps you to slow down. It helps you to be more aware. It doesn't it doesn't change you in a way that you become a multitasker or you become fast at doing what you do. Not at all. I mean, that's what my experience has been over the last 6 years. That discipline has helped me to actually slow down, and slowing down really helps with keeping a calm attitude. Apart from that, when it comes to the movement itself, so the two things here. First is that the way we move, the angles in which we move, many times, I mean, almost all the times, when people come to learn, their bodies cannot imagine moving in those angles. I mean, they are like they find it's a completely new thing. It's a completely unconventional, or the body can't think of moving like that. So they keep the body keeps they keep doing it incorrect, and the body kind of keeps moving into a pattern that they are used to. Whereas Meipadam, we are moving in such I would say really different, unconventional, sometimes
It's to all the
very weird
dimensions, the
angles.
sagittal and
Yeah.
the frontal. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So basically you're teaching your brain also about possibilities. If you're not used to move in this angle, when you're learning about moving in this new angle, you're teaching your brain to do something new. So that is really important, I feel, especially when it comes to developing like a better mindset with being able to solve problems in life.
Yeah.
And I feel when it comes to putting effort, in terms of challenging your mobility, challenging your flexibility, and all these like physical fitness parameters, is that it kind of makes you more resilient every time you step slightly out of your comfort zone, right? So that teaches you to not give up when it becomes so difficult, and slightly slowly, at least gently, try and go out of that comfort zone to find the solution. On in case of Meipadam and Karlakattai, to find the solution of how to move and execute this movement by pushing yourself, and which I think translates, because ultimately you are not just training your body is a one whole thing, so you're training your brain also simultaneously. So you are teaching your brain what resilience is, what going out of comfort zone is, what is finding comfort zone out of your comfort zone. So basically, increasing the radius
Yeah.
of your comfort zone, which I think ultimately all these things add to mental health. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Very well pointed out, Trisha. When we do something different and new, we do physically develop new neural pathways. So the neural cells start connecting and finding new ways of doing something. So when we stop, figure things out, and we do the same thing monotonously day in, day out, we lose parts of our brain. So if you see from a baby who has billions and billions of connection, by the time it's a young child, or it's lost a lot of them, because the most absorbent and the most innovative and inventive and curious are babies. And once the curiosity starts dying down, you start losing connections. Literally, they have studies have shown you lose the brain connections. So curiosity and wanting to reinvent yourself is something one shouldn't ever lose. Maybe in physically, or learning new skills, all of it. So my padam somewhere definitely would help with that physically as well, with not only how you feel, but also the actual brain cells are actioned upon. And that will help with you problem solving, and getting new connections means more ability to do more things. So
yes,
yeah,
yes,
absolutely well said.
yeah.
um,
Um, uh, Please go ahead, Rupa. I
No,
was
I was just
about to
thinking
bring in
also.
something.
So we spoke about adults with mental health issues and stuff. So I was just thinking with kids. Again, I have had a couple of kids with ADHD,
Mm,
and autism as well, who have attempted it. It has worked in some, and for some it was difficult. So it depends because every child is again very unique. Even on the spectrum is very unique. But if you can, and with unfortunately it was COVID time when I came across these possibilities, and online didn't work with these kids. um, but maybe a face-to-face session might work better, or it depends on where the child is at, and if the parents are already practicing, they could guide them better. So somewhere I think there is potential for that as well, because of the anxiety that is quite rampant, and these kids find it difficult to engage with the world around them. So this might be another got potential to help them calm down and engage with the world in a different way. um, it's something that we need to work more on and find if that helps and how far it goes, but it's got potential for sure.
right. Actually, that's exactly the same topic that I was going to bring about. One of my students in US, she requested to touch upon this subject of how Maypadam can help children who are on autism spectrum. So you said, I think two things that need to be pointed out here is that offline engagement, will be more beneficial for kids instead of online. It's not. It will be hard to engage them through online class. And secondly, it is going to be helpful for them if the parents themselves are practicing. So if the parents are learning, or if there is a teacher who is going uh, going to teach the kids in a kind of offline setting, then that's going to be more beneficial than something that's online. That's one thing. But exactly as you said, that we'll have to engage with the kid in more of a one-to-one basis than like in a big group activity kind of way. I think so. um, and that's because every kid is unique, and their experience, their way of engaging is going to be different. So yeah, that's correct. And I think with the practice of Meipadam Karlakattai for parents themselves, it's going to be beneficial in terms of kind of developing this, I would say, understanding from a better place of awareness uh, about what really it means to be normal and not normal. So personally, I'm very much against labels.
I'm with
So
you.
I,
I'm with
I
you.
I I do not agree with these labels. And when we say, some kids we have found out nowadays many labels for kids who are not good at learning and adapting to the systems, which we are clearly seeing are not
It's
very
failing
good and
everybody.
are
Yeah.
failing hugely, failing hugely, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a
So
good thing if you don't fit into it, actually.
exactly. So how about we start understanding that they do not have learning disability? Is just that uh, they find it unnatural to adapt with these systems, and which are legitimate unnatural, by the way. So so
They do have their own
yeah.
agenda, which may not be what it is all
Yes.
about anyway. True.
Yes,
True.
yes, yes, and I think maybe if the parents themselves start practicing, they can come out of their mental comfort zone of accepting these labels for their kids, and actually go out of the box and start thinking about how their kids learn. So yeah, in that way, definitely, if my student is listening, if you're wanting to do something beneficial, I think we it is easier for Rupa and I to teach the parents online. It's not going to be beneficial to teach the kids online. They will have to be engaged in an offline setting. So yeah,
And the touch will be beneficial for them, I think. The more face to face interaction,
exactly. Yes,
communication, verbal and physical, will be more beneficial to them in the long run.
yes,
So, the parents'
yeah,
learning is the simplest and the most effective way of going about it, indeed. And
yeah,
of course,
yeah,
the
yeah,
parents get the benefit of my padam anyway for their own self, because it's a big
yes,
task. Having to bring up any child is a huge task, I say. So with different abilities and special abilities, all the more. So it's equally important that they care for themselves, their mental health, for them to then be a
right,
better parent as well. So
right, right,
definitely
right.
beneficial indeed.
Yeah, I do get parents almost like all the time who want me to convince their children to join Meipadam and Karlakattai. And my first question always is, are you practicing it? If you are not
Absolutely.
practicing, don't ask me to convince.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
if
Indeed.
you if you were practicing it, you wouldn't have needed your kids to get convinced. Your kids would have seen you, and
You would be an example,
they
practicing example. Yeah, yeah. You have to practice
exactly.
with kids. Actions are louder than words, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
More impactful.
Okay. So, any last words on the topic, Rupa?
That's about it. Yeah, you have to try it, and don't take our word for it. Try it yourself and see how you feel. If when you engage with it, absolutely with full heart. That's the most important for you to get the mental benefits. You have to engage with all your heart. It is not just the moving of your arms and limbs. There is more to it, and if you look at it deeper, you will see the benefits. Is what I would say.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so I think, yeah, that's all from us. And thanks for joining us. Feel free to comment on this session wherever you're watching this on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and let us know if there are any topics that you would like us to talk about. And we'll see you very soon with one more useful and interesting topic. So, thanks a lot again and take care. Thank you, Rupa.
Yeah, thanks, Tasha, and good luck to everyone. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye.